Hi guys, Jen here with Chaos and Grace. If you guys have been following my channel for any length of time, you know that this year, for 2018-2019, we decided to start year-round homeschooling. Now, my plan was to do kind of a halfway mark review to let you know how things are going, but that took place right about the beginning of December. It was a little crazy that time of year, so it is now the end of January, and I'm gonna let you guys know what I like so far and what I don't like and what we're gonna change for 2019. Alright, so I figured the best way to do this is just kind of do a pros and cons list and let you guys know what I like and what I don't like about year-round homeschooling. So in previous years, like every other year up until now, we've pretty much done an August to May kind of schedule, which is a pretty traditional, pretty typical schedule. We always did some light kind of schooling in the summer just to keep things fresh in their brains so they didn't totally forget all of what we learned over the last year. But we didn't do anything intense. We never had any kind of schedule. Not that I'm a real big schedule person anyway, but we're pretty lax on our routine. Now, I decided to switch to a year-round schedule for several reasons. Number one being just the overall routine. My kids thrive with routine. They don't necessarily need to know every single thing that's going to happen in their day at every single time of the day, but they do need to have some kind of regular flow that happens in their day every single day. So I'm going to start with the pros to our year-round homeschooling. So the biggest pro to year-round homeschooling is even more of increased flexibility. We have flexibility homeschooling in general. Everybody that homeschools knows that. You have flexibility. It's almost everybody's top number one perk to homeschooling. Maybe not a reason, but definitely a perk. But year-round homeschooling, if somebody calls me up or lets me know, hey, we're gonna go do this. Do you wanna come? Absolutely. We can definitely drop our day and go because we've got the whole year to make it up. You guys know my youngest son, Caleb, has sensory processing disorder. And by now, you also know that Jackson, my middle son, has dyslexia. Well, my oldest son, Wyatt, has gone through a series of testing. Now, we had him go through all of this testing. It was developmental, behavioral, and academic testing to basically determine why he struggles sometimes with things. And the older he gets, the more into his teen years he gets, the more of a challenge it has been for him. So with all of that stuff going on, I placed more of a emphasis on the social requirements, the social practice, I'm avoiding the word socialization, can you tell? The socialization aspect of homeschooling. I really want to focus more on that because here's the thing. I can teach them all the arithmetic that there is to teach. I can teach them all the reading that there is to teach. They can devour every bit of information in every book that the library holds. But if they struggle socially in the adult world, they're always going to struggle. If they can't acclimate to the rest of the world, to the rest of society, and be successful just in their social interactions with other people, none of that bookwork's going to matter. So if we have an opportunity to go out and practice that, we need to do that. When we were doing a traditional schedule, our time was more limited, so I didn't have the opportunity to put down the books as often as I do now and to go practice life out in the real world. So that's been a real blessing for us to be able to go do that because just from June until now in January we've had, well, that is a long time, but we've still had in that 7-month span, we've been able to go do things that we wouldn't have been able to otherwise do if we were stuck in that traditional schooling schedule. So here's my favorite mom pro to year-round homeschooling. I have not gotten burnt out once. I have had days where I've needed a break, but I wouldn't call that burnout really. In the past, in previous years, I have gotten pretty bad burnout where it is really difficult to stick with it through the end of the year to finish everything we have. But this year, if I need a break, I take a break. If they need a break, we take a break. If we need the whole week off, we can do it and then we just pick back up and we're okay. We have also had more time for enrichment activities. My sons do love soccer and swimming and martial arts, and we do have more time to do more of that. And they also love archery because my husband is a hunter and we are teaching our boys that, eventually our daughter if she's interested. So we have had more time to practice those skills and join 4-H archery, which previously we would not have had the time to do. My absolute favorite pro of year-round homeschooling for us has been just the amount of things that we have to do in a day. So what that has allowed us to do is that they can now pursue more of an interest-led learning. So my oldest son loves science, so he's been able to really dig into it and really pursue more of it and research more and really get into the things that he's really passionate about. So now let's talk about the cons. With anything, there is cons. There have been hiccups and just little transitional things here and there. And we've adjusted to them pretty well. It's more my adjusting that's been an issue than it has been for theirs, because year-round homeschooling does cut into our garden season, which is a big deal. But it has provided more of an opportunity for hands-on learning and growing everything and troubleshooting problems and pests and things like that. So I guess it's a con and a pro. Now it's winter, it's January. I think right now it's like 35 below outside with the wind chill. We're not going outside, we're not going anywhere, and they're getting bored. My creativity has limits, and I could only have so much bookwork and so many activities and so many crafts before I run out of things to do, and they get bored of what they have. So that's probably on my con list. My last thing on my cons list, which is still, I think, kind of a pro and a con, is I've had some unexpected curriculum expenses. I was not expecting to go through multiple levels this year. I will link an iCard above for you guys to check out if you're interested, a video on how I got my son caught up in school. He was very behind, about a year behind in mostly language arts, but in math also. And I explained in that video how I got him caught up. Well, he is caught up now, but he jumped like 2 levels and I had to buy a whole nother set of curriculum. So there's that expense. And granted, we use the good of the beautiful, and it's not a super expensive by any means curriculum, but it is still an expense. And we are frugal and we have a tight budget because we are trying to pay off our land. It was still a tiny bit of a hit. So I wasn't expecting that. So that's the con part. But the pro side to that is when it's time to purchase curriculum for the year, that's one thing that I won't have to buy because he will still be working in it. But then a few months down the road, I'll have to buy the next level. So I think I'm pretty much just gonna have to rework how I am going to be purchasing curriculum. Another really, really good pro is that we don't have that whole summer off. We're not taking May to August off. We're only taking about a month and a half off. And during that month and a half, we still read every day because one of my kids have dyslexia, possibly 2, but with Caleb and his sensory processing disorder, there's a lot of cross symptoms, if you will, that we're not sure yet if it's dyslexia or if it's just sensory related. So I don't know. His evaluation is coming and then we'll know more from there. But for right now, I have no idea. But I still teach him like he is dyslexic. And it has made a big difference for him. So I'm just not gonna fix what ain't broke. So during that month and a half, and then we still read pretty much every day. My oldest son reads every day. He devours books, loves to read, does great with reading. What is it? Something like kids lose something like 2/3 of what they learn over the school year throughout the summer. Not doing anything, not keeping it fresh. A month and a half break is all my kids get, and then we're back into it. So they don't have time to forget because we're doing it immediately. Not that they don't, they still do. They still do forget stuff. But it's not nearly as much, so that's a perk. So even with all of the cons that I mentioned, the pros still way outweigh them in my opinion, and really the cons that I did mention are no big deal. They're not things, there's nothing there that I can't work around or adjust to or just deal with. So we are definitely going to continue to year-round homeschool. This schedule has proven far more valuable to my children in so many different ways. Socially, academically, emotionally, just so many different ways. And I feel like we have an opportunity to teach them to be more well-rounded. It's really been a blessing, and I'm so glad that we decided to make this change. So that's it for our school year update. How is your homeschool year going? And what kind of schedule do you follow? Are you a year-round homeschooler like us, or do you follow a more